Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Rishi Vamdatt. I'm 16 years old, and I'm a junior in high school right now in Jersey City, New Jersey. And I'm the founder of Easy Peasy Finance, which is a free financial literacy resource that has now reached learners in 193 countries. Recently, back in March, I passed the CFP exam, and as of the CFP board, I'm believed to be the youngest to do so. And over this almost 2-year journey, I've used Dalton Education for the coursework and exam review, and it's been a really great experience.
Man, that is just a really incredible accomplishment. So congratulations to you. I know your parents are also super proud. So congratulations to them as well. They've obviously done a really great job with you. Where did your interest in finance and financial education come from? How did that start?
So since I was a kid, even before I got interested in finance around age 6, I was always looking into money. So whether that's how people earn money and spend it, or later things like how the stock market works, or why some people are richer than others, or have more knowledge about finance than others. And then as I got more knowledgeable, I realized that when I was looking for resources, pretty much everything was boring or meant for adults or had a lot of jargon. And I was really wondering why no one made resources for kids like me who were interested in finance and wanted to start learning about it. And while I was definitely able to become knowledgeable through that because I was very interested and really had that drive to learn about personal finance, I knew that a lot of other people my age would be deterred by the lack of kid-friendly resources. So at that time, I really wanted to work on making personal finance accessible to kids and beginners of all ages, but especially for young people, which is why I started Easy Peasy Finance when I was 8, with the goal of making money and finance easy peasy for young people. So to do that, I made all of my videos, at least at the start. They were all animated. They were in a question and answer format with 2 characters. They had lots of visuals, like different images, videos, and of course the animation. And one of the most important things is that they all use simple language. And that was all to try and make it so that it's easy and engaging for kids, especially to learn about the concept, since I felt like there weren't really any other resources like that.
When did you realize that the CFP certification was something that you wanted to go after?
So this was back in May 2024. May 2024. And at that time, there were 2 reasons mainly that I thought pursuing CFP coursework would be the right decision for me. One is that up to that point, I had been running Easy Peasy Finance for 6 years, but at that point, all of my knowledge about finance was self-taught. So I thought I could really take it to the next level by getting some more technical rigor behind my videos. And one other reason is that even though I had spent all these years teaching people about money, I still got comments like, why should I listen to a kid about finance? And to kind of reassure the skeptics, I wanted to look for something that could really show them that I understood at a very high level what I was talking about in the conversation around money and financial literacy. So at that time, I was doing some research and I saw that the CFP certification, the curriculum that it covers is very similar to what I was doing, which is helping people manage their money. And because of that alignment, I was really interested. And when I saw that there wasn't any age limit, that was also really encouraging to me. So that's when I started to pursue the coursework. And at that time, I wasn't really focused on the exam or anything. I was taking it really one step at a time. But as I went through the coursework and became more knowledgeable, I was also able to incorporate a lot of the concepts and ideas into my videos, and then eventually also do the exam review and then pass the CFP exam. Yeah, a lot of the topics that I covered, whether it's the impact of new legislation, which I've covered in videos about the OBA and Trump accounts, or Genius Act and stablecoins, or whether it's topics related to the practical application of money, like how kids and teens can earn money or start investing, or how to increase your salary at your job, or tips for building long-term wealth. A lot of these ideas definitely do start with the CFP coursework, and then I've tried to translate that into content that my audience can really benefit from. And that's also been helpful in helping me retain the information.
Why is having this certification important for what goals or what you want to accomplish in the future?
Forward after passing this exam, it really represents the highest commitment to both knowledge and also ethics in the world of personal finance and financial planning. So going forward, when I work directly with clients or with the government or with school districts, I think having this behind me and having passed the exam really shows my commitment to the field, both in terms of knowledge and ethics, which I think are really important.
Once you decided that CFP was the certification that you wanted to go for, how did you go about choosing a CFP education partner?
So when I was initially going for the coursework, like I was saying, it was really about the knowledge. I wasn't trying to rush to just take the exam. I wasn't even thinking about the exam at that time, since I was just going one step at a time. So I really wanted a provider that had in-depth information, and with the material, I could really learn the concepts. So Dalton's coursework had a reputation for being very rigorous and for having a lot of content in it. And I thought that really appealed to me, since I wanted to build up that knowledge, which is one of the main reasons that I went forward with Dalton for the coursework. And what really sealed it was Jessica's willingness to believe in me from the start, and by giving me a scholarship. And since then, it's really felt like a partnership between me and Dalton, and it's been a really great experience.
What was it like being enrolled in a college certificate program?
Well, especially at first, I feel like the coursework was really challenging. I think doing the coursework completely self-paced really was a challenge, especially at first, because it was all up to me to have the discipline and to do work every single day. There wasn't any like a group of people that I was doing it with, or some set schedule, since I was doing it self-paced. But then as I continued doing it, I was able to develop time management, and also by waking up at 5 a.m. every day, I was able to complete both this graduate level coursework and also work on Easy Peasy Finance, be on the swim team at my school, be on the debate team. And I was able to manage all of this together. And of course, since it is graduate level work, there were a lot of challenges. And one time I remember on my retirement midterm, which was pretty late actually into the coursework, I scored a 64% on the midterm when I needed a 70 to pass. So then the rest of the day, I took the first midterm in the morning, and then until the evening, I spent hours just reviewing all of my mistakes and going back into the lessons and doing more practice questions. So then that very same day in the evening, I retook the midterm and got a 90%. And that really helped me, because it showed me that even though it's definitely challenging, as long as I keep putting in the work that's required, I can be successful. And since then, I've been able to continue and complete the coursework and exam review. And since I really care about the material, and it's also something that I'm really able to incorporate into my videos, I feel like it's been a very great journey for both my personal growth and also for my audience.
Was there anything else about Dalton? You mentioned Jessica, and of course we love Jessica. We feel like we have a really incredible team that, really committed to people's support. Was there anything else, the rigor of the coursework? Was there anything else that appealed to you about Dalton when you were deciding who to use?
I think that for the coursework, it was mainly the rigor and the focus on actually understanding the material, and then Jessica. And then later for the exam review, I think one really important factor when I was deciding was, in addition to having experience with the coursework for Dalton, where I understood how thorough everything is and how in-depth you go with the resources, which I really appreciated, I also saw online that, based on what other people had said, that Dalton had a really great question bank. And that's a resource that I definitely use a lot going forward through the review, and that was really helpful. And another important part of my decision to continue using Dalton.
Did you go all the way through the question bank?
Yeah, I went all the way through, and then I reset it and continued doing even more. So in total, even excluding the CFP board mock exams, I think I did more than 4,000 practice questions, which was definitely a lot, but that's what really helped me improve my skills and focus on my weak areas as well. So I think that's been very valuable.
Wow, that's a lot of practice questions. After completing the education requirement, you also chose the Dalton review for your CFP exam prep. What was it about your experience with the CFP education that the Dalton review offered? Were there any other tools or components of it that made you want to stick with Dalton after doing the education component?
In addition to the focus on knowledge that I was talking about, one other thing that comes with the rigor is how I saw online that a lot of people were saying how Dalton over prepares you for the exam. And that's something that, now that I've also taken it, that's definitely something I've seen in my experience, where, as I was talking about the questions, a lot of them are harder than what I saw on exam day and in the mock exams. But I think that's really helpful, because they really, especially the Roman numeral questions, really force you to understand the content. And because of the rigor of Dalton, especially with the question bank, the questions really force you to understand the content and all of the details. And that really helped me to fix my weak areas and to gain a general level of mastery, which was enough to pass the CFP exam. And in learning all of these details, I was also able to incorporate a lot of those into.
But what other tools or resources in the Dalton review helped you stay on track and ultimately pass the exam?
In addition to the question bank, I think the Dalton audio review was really helpful, which I didn't even know about going into it, but I was talking to Anna about the resources that I could use to continue supporting my learning even when I was away from the computer, and she recommended the Dalton audio review. So since even before I started actually preparing in detail, even when I was traveling, while I was in the car for a few hours, I was able to listen to the review material on earbuds and get a head start on priming myself for future topics. And then as I was going through the review, while I was, say, walking to school or doing chores, or any time that I was able to listen to something, I was listening to the audio review. And I think that really helped to both prime myself for future concepts and review the past ones and really solidify that knowledge, even when I was not actively studying.
So I'm glad you mentioned Anna. Anna also is incredible, and she was your student success coach. Tell us what it was like to have a student success coach. What kind of things did she help you with?
And so for the exam review, working with Anna has been really great. And she's helped me a lot over this entire process over these few months. So whether that's for content questions, she was able to refer me to specialists within Dalton to answer those. And for study or strategy related questions, like how to most effectively use the question bank, she was able to talk to me about that herself. And one really important insight that I got that I was able to implement early in my studying was, instead of just reviewing the questions that I got wrong, she told me that I should also review the questions that I was low confidence or medium confidence about. And that really helped me to not fall into the illusion of thinking I was good at topics where it was actually just luck for one or two questions. And that really helped me to continue to do well. So that was definitely really important. And I also want to highlight Kelly, who was my student success coach for the coursework. And over those 1.5 years, she's been really supportive and encouraging, whether that's checking in on me, answering questions, and just generally being very supportive. So for both of those sections, having a student success coach was really valuable, and I'm really happy to have had that experience.
Test day, exam day rolls around. You go to the testing center, you walk in, like, where's your head at? What are you feeling? Ready? Did you feel prepared? Were you freaking out?
I definitely did trust all the review that I did, all of the more than 250 hours and all of the practice questions. So I did feel confident going in. But of course, considering it's this 6-hour exam and most people who take it are 20 years older than me, I'm of course going to be nervous going into it. But then as I got started and started doing some questions, I realized that it's pretty similar to what I was doing in the practice material. And because I put in all that effort into studying, I was able to do quite well. And especially since Dalton really over prepares you. So then as time went on, I became more confident. And then when at the end of the exam, I finally saw that I passed, I was really relieved and happy, of course. So I just kind of sat there for a minute and was really grateful for the experience and that all my work paid off in this way at the end.
What did you do to celebrate?
Actually, after passing the exam, I went traveling with my family to Japan. And that was kind of a celebration of all of the work that I put in, whether I had passed the exam or not. And that was a way to kind of de-stress and take a break, because for those 2.5 months, pretty much every second that I wasn't working on school or on Easy Peasy Finance, I was either studying for the exam or listening to the material for the CFP exam. So it was a nice break to relax after that.
Was there a particular topic or area of the study that you found most challenging?
I'd say in terms of the general areas, tax was definitely the hardest. And I'm sure it's also like that for a lot of other students, because there's a lot of details that you have to know about, whether that's specific deductions and credits or all of the many different kinds of tax systems to learn about. Once you kind of get the hang of it, it is easier, but especially initially, it can definitely be overwhelming. And another area a little later, especially in the exam review, was about the non-qualified retirement accounts. Like all of the qualified plans follow a nice structure where it's kind of easy to organize in my mind. But for all the non-qualified ones, whether they're like ISOs, NSOs, RSUs, or different kinds of rabbi, secular trusts, all of those different vehicles are very different and they all have their own rules. So it was very challenging to learn about that. But eventually, just like with my retirement midterm, after putting in time to really understand the details instead of just trying to memorize it, I was able to get a good response. I did do question bank questions, like to kind of be similar to that, because I wanted to specify like the difficulty levels. So around in the question bank over the 4,000 questions, my average was around 80%.
Would you recommend Dalton Education to others who want to go for their CFP certification?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend Dalton, because whether it's the coursework and how much it really teaches you about the knowledge instead of just rushing and how rigorous it is, which I really appreciated, or the actual exam review where the question bank, and especially being able to review all of my incorrect and low confidence question answers was really helpful. Overall, with the journey with Dalton, it's been a really great experience. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
And what would you say to anyone, and especially other young people, but really anyone who want to go for something big like earning the CFP, taking on those big challenges?
I would say to definitely not wait until you feel like you're ready or you feel 100% confident going into it, because I started Easy Peasy Finance when I was 8, and I started doing the CFP coursework when I was 14. And as like that's very not traditional, and I didn't even feel 100% confident going in that I would immediately know everything or find it like something that I was ready for going into it. But then as I got some more experience and improved my skills, I was able to do well in both of them. So I think having the drive and being able to put in the work and put in the hours to succeed is a lot more important than feeling like you're ready or old enough. So I'd say for young people, as long as you're willing to put in the effort, it's a good idea to start now and to just keep in mind that it'll definitely be difficult, but as long as you stick with it, it will be worth it.
What's next for you, and what's next for Easy Peasy Finance?
With Easy Peasy Finance, I'll definitely continue to incorporate different topics from the CFP coursework and from the exam review into my videos. I've already been doing that with the different practical application focused videos or things like behavioral finance, but I'll definitely continue including those to kind of take the content to the next level for my audience. And going forward, I also want to expand Easy Peasy Finance's reach with schools and teachers. So already many teachers are using my videos in the classroom, and I launched a teacher platform last year in August, which is already being piloted by more than 65 teachers, which is really great. I want to continue working on that front. And as for me, as I go to college late next year, I want to continue learning about topics that can help me create better videos. And one of the areas I'm really interested in is behavioral economics, and how the different biases and psychology of money lead people to unfortunately not make good decisions, but how I can make content that helps people avoid those biases and to end up still making the right decisions in the long run. The amount of that I got through the CFP coursework and then later the review, I found that really interesting and one of the most interesting parts of the entire curriculum. So I definitely like to learn more about that going forward. And then after college, I'll definitely continue working on Easy Peasy Finance. But going beyond that, I also want to use the connections and network and knowledge from college to continue working with teachers, school districts, and also the government on implementing financial literacy for young people. I'd just like to say that I'm really grateful to Dalton for the wonderful experience that I've had and for believing in me since the start. So just thank you very much to the Dalton team.
All right. Thank you, Rishi, so much for your time. We are really very proud of you. Congratulations on this incredible achievement. And we really look forward to seeing all the great things that you are going to do in the future.
Thank you so much for having me, Clayton.
All right.